The desert makes you sharpen your agenda. I always want dissenters in my meetings. And I've trained our congregation. Don't go along with me because I'm the man of God. Where you have points of disagreement, feel free to articulate them. If you have a counter, creative, imaginative offering, I want to hear it. I tell my staff that. I might be in charge because your paycheck comes from me having hired you. But your success comes from not sitting on creativity that you don't articulate. That's good. And I count on that. In fact, you have a right to rebut what I say as long as it's done with compassion. And then yield to me the right as the pastor to understand that my anointing is for the whole. And your anointing is for your department. And sometimes what you're articulating is what's best for your department, but not what's best for the whole. And you don't realize that if I consent and concede to this, I will be infecting another portion of the church. You follow me? All right. So it's the time in the desert. Get used to in fact, make the desert friendly. Meditate in it. Ask where there are holes and gaps. How can I crystallize this vision? How can I articulate it better? How can I win the dissenter? Or how can I calm down my enemies? How can I ramp up my friends? Am I right? Do I have a vision for this season? Or is this vision for another and God needed me to receive it early so that I could absorb it and let it run through my spiritual system? And I've experienced all of these, right? So I want you to make the desert your friend. The second characteristic of this is resistance and obstacles. I see them as spiritual formation. Resistance and obstacles as spiritual formation. And I'll give you a quick illustration. When I pastored my first church, again, coming from New Psalmist, where Bishop Thomas had built up enough equity that he could run church meetings with no questions. He could walk in staff meetings and make decisions. He could stand in front of the church and announce things. And I never saw anybody fight him. I never saw anybody rebel. I never saw anybody articulate anything against him. One, because he's brilliant. And two, because he had built up that kind of clout, right? So I go into my first deacons meeting when it was time to hire a minister of music. I don't have her resume. I don't have no characteristics about her. I just made the decision. She was homegrown, and she was filling in the interim period while they were considering calling me. So I figured that was an easy win. I'm calling a daughter of the church, and she's going to be the minister of music. So I walk in the meeting, and I make the announcement. And David Anderson said, "Can we see her resume?" And back then, 22 years old, here's what I said. I am her resume. And they proved to me how wrong I was. Because when I went for the vote for her salary, one by one, they all dissented. After the meeting, Dave Anderson, chair of the board, walks in my office. He closes the door. He sits down. He said, "Reverend, can I say something to you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "We didn't vote against you. We voted against your mindset. We love you. We want you. We'll follow you. But we'll only follow you where there has been executable vision. And we can't defend the money you want to pay Winona to the congregation because it is true she's homegrown, but she's not favored." And had I known that, I would have made a different decision, not on the person, but on the process. I would have had her interview with them, have them come back, report to me. And then while she was not in the room, I either would have dismantled points of disagreement or quickly I would have assented to how we would pay her hiring, and what that process should be. I learned a critical lesson then. So that now when I'm thinking about hiring somebody, I put people who I know would be against the position on the search committee.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And I make them make a presentation of 3 people to me with the final decision being mine. And you know what happens every time? We win. Not me. We win. And then I'll stand and I'll say, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so form the committee. Would you stand? And they stand. I want y'all to really applaud them. They worked so hard. They did all their due diligence. I didn't even have to be that involved. In fact, when I walked in, all I had to do was say yes.